Welcome, everyone. I'm Kirsten from the Bridgewater Library, Somerset County Library System. Today's training is on Google Slides. This is being recorded. Please remain muted. And any questions or comments, please type it in the chat. Now, let's begin. Our one and only Crystal Hooper.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. And thank you all for joining us this morning. So this is going to be a beginner's demonstration of how to access and set up a presentation using Google Slides. We're going to cover and demonstrate a variety of topics and design ideas, but we're not going to get into the weeds of using shortcuts and the real advanced functioning for this session. But what we are going to cover is how we access slides, start a presentation, and can build from a template, how to find an existing presentation, how to edit and format within Google Slides, and how you can share your presentation to work collaboratively with others. So my name is Crystal Hooper. I got my Master's of Library Information Science degree from the University of Alabama in December 2022. I'm a branch manager for the North Plainfield Library, which is part of Somerset County Library System. I'm the treasurer for the New Jersey Association of Library Assistants, and I'm also an aerospace education member for Civil Air Patrol, which is teaching STEM programming from anyone age 5 to 99. All right, so Google Slides, what can it do? Before I show it to you, we're going to talk about all the reasons why you might have heard about it. So you can stay in sync with your slides, whether online or offline mode, and have easy sharing with real-time editing. You can add comments and assign action items to build ideas together with teammates. With easy-to-use presenter view, speaker notes, and live captions, slides make presenting your ideas a breeze. You can even present in a Google Meeting video call directly from Google Slides. Slides is thoughtfully connected with other Google apps, which saves you time and integration. You can embed charts and things produced in Google Sheets or reply to comments from the slide deck through your Gmail account. You can search the web or the Google Drive for relevant content or images to add to your slides. And you can easily add and upload Microsoft PowerPoint presentations without having to do much conversion at all. And you can layer on slides enhanced collaborative and assistive features like the comments, action items, and even Smart Compose. And we're going to go through some of those today. All right, so let's dig in. First things first, how do we access Google Slides? If you're familiar with the Chrome browser, what you're seeing on the top of your screen is the Google menu. And when you click on the app icon, which is those 3 rows, horizontal dots, I call it a waffle, you get the drop-down menu, and Slides is one of the options. So you can click on Slides there. When you do, that's what you see on the bottom of your screen, which has a blank presentation, different templates across the top, and then your most recent presentations, things that were either shared with you or created and uploaded by you. And you can search at the top of that search bar for any particular name or presentation that you're looking for. So this presentation is a little unique because I used Google Slides to build you this slide deck. So we're going to look at it, how we open it, how we get to it, and we're going to build a new one together. So again, all I did here, I clicked on that link, which opened a new Chrome browser. I'm going to click on what I call the waffle, which is the apps menu. And you'll see there's lots of different options within that menu. But we're looking for slides today. So I'm going to click on it, and it's going to just refresh that page. And this is the same thing you just saw in that smaller picture, which is a photo caption of this. So across the top, we have that blank presentation, and we have different templates. There's a whole template gallery. So if you were going to look for here, like family recipes. So you were going to do a showcase one. Let's click on it. That sounds fun. Let's see what they did here. So a few things start happening right off the bat. It takes a second to load because it's rendering a lot of artwork. But anything that you see on the screen, you can click on and start customizing. So if you were going to make a family recipe book and you were going to share it with your family, you could, maybe pasta's not your thing or your heritage, and you wanted to focus more on like Tex-Mex food. So you could click on this picture and we could just hit the delete button and we could get rid of the picture and keep the box, meaning we're going to add another picture later. And we could do the same thing with this, or you could right click on it and you could cut it or delete it here too. So you can start messing around with the template right away. If we look at on the left-hand side, we've got all the slides that are in this slide deck. So if we go to slide 2, we see, oh, they've got another hint for us of how I can do things with pictures. So they've got quick tips. So are they saying right click on the photo and use replace image to build a showcase. So let's right click on it, replace images down here. We could take a live picture with a webcam. We could insert a URL if we wanted it to render to a website. We can add our own photos from Google Photos or from our Drive account, or we can upload from the computer or just search the web. So if we search the web, on the right-hand side, we get just, it's like a Google Images search, but it's built within the presentation slideshow. So let's say we're looking for Tex-Mex food. Nothing showed because they wanted to add whatever that review was. That was fun. All right, so let's say, oh, yeah, beautiful. We like this plate of food. We can click on the one we like or many that we like. But since this is one big image, I just want to deal with one image at a time right now. And at the bottom right, you see I've got one selected. And if I hit replace, just give it a minute and there it is. It replaced it for me. So that's a neat way to use a template that Google's already built for you and get rolling right off the bat. You'll also notice on the right-hand side, they've got themes, and themes are nice because you can apply it to the entire slideshow in one click. So I know this recipe one has this cute apron kind of going, the blue and white checkered aprons kind of all over all the slides. We see a little bit. So if I go back to the top and I find a better template that I like, which let's just do this purple and white one and see what happens. So if I apply it, you're like, wait a second, I don't notice it. I still see that blue and white apron everywhere. That's because that is a photo that they applied to the background. They layered it on. If we click on that element, we can see it. If I make it bigger, I can make the tablecloth or cloth napkin larger. If we go to the bottom here, here's where we see that purple take effect. So it's wherever they had text. If we remove the image entirely, we'll find the same purple kind of took effect. If we go one slide up, here it's in white. It's taking the color themes from this theme menu and it just applies it to the whole slideshow. And we're going to talk about that a bit more because it does come in really handy. I like to make my PowerPoints with just a blank white screen to start, and then I add the themes later. Sometimes the theme can totally make the presentation. Other times it distracts and can take away from the presentation. Before I close this template, are there any questions?
Not at the moment.
Wonderful. All right. We're going back to my presentation and we're going to go back to a Google, just like open a new Chrome tab. I'm going to reopen slides. So let's look at some other ones. So here's a presentation that I gave earlier this week. So I can see it in my recent presentations menu. If I open it up, Just give it a second so that everything can load properly. And this was just to give, we've got, NJALA has the annual conference coming up on June 6th. So we met with all the presenters so that they had some information before the date comes around, so they know what to expect. So why I'm showing you this presentation is because it's very simple, and because it was a large audience. There's nearly 40 people coming to talk or show a demonstration at that conference. So it had to be very short. Nothing is worse than a presentation with over 100 slides and you only have an hour to talk with people. So if you look at the left-hand side, you see I only had 5 slides, very short. And if you've attended any of these Google sessions that are hosted by NJALA before, you know that I don't like to show too much on the PowerPoint. I like to do a lot more in hands-on demonstration things and walk you through how to do it. But when I'm giving a presentation, and what I can't really show you right now is to the right-hand side of my computer screen, I've got the same presentation pulled up with these little speaker notes. So these are reminders to myself to tell the audience what to talk about. And this is just a free text field. Nobody on the present or the attendance side can see your presenter notes. Only you can see them. So this helps you get your thoughts and ideas organized. And if I didn't like the order of my slideshow, I can just pick, I just left clicked on the slide and I can start wiggling it, and it turns, gets that nice dark blue border. So I can just rearrange it and pull it to a different place in the presentation. That doesn't affect the other slides at all. And if I had applied a theme, doesn't affect the theme at all. So it's kind of a nice trick as you're getting organized. And remember, in school, they always taught you to use like index cards, or my teachers always taught you to do index cards, and you were like citing sources and things. So you could put them in different orders without affecting your presentation. And then as I got better at computers, I was like, I can do that in Word and Google Docs. You can do the same idea in PowerPoint. Use the note taker field. And if you are going to write a lot of notes, that's fine. You can click and you can drag it up. You make your slide that is for the visual to see smaller, and you give yourself more writing space. You can also add bullets to this. So if I wanted to, this is all just your personal preference, how you like to see information, whatever makes it easier for you to read. So if you need to break things out into bullets, you can add them. You've got all the shortcut keys across the top that are the same in Google Docs, in Google Slides, and in Google Sheets. They're also very familiar looking graphics to the Microsoft suite. But you can add all sorts of bullet points. If you decide you want to have other bullet points, you sure can, and you can click them and you can go right in front of the first letter in the sentence, and you can hit tab just like you do in the other products, or you can click in that same space or use the indent, increase or decrease feature on the top to rearrange your bullets. The indent, increase, and decrease can be really handy if you're working on a laptop. Sometimes the keys are a little more sensitive and you can accidentally hit things, or your fingers, just the way you use the touchpad, can sometimes move your font and your blocking around. So these are nice to remember that they're there. Same with the undo and redo feature. So if you do something and you freak out and you're like, oh no, now I have to retype the whole thing, you can hit undo, which a lot of us know the shortcut is the control button plus Z. And if you look at it and you say, no, I didn't mean to undo that thing, then you can hit redo and it'll reapply that bullet. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Any questions or comments, you could type in the chat at any time. Nope.
Wonderful. All right. Let's back out of this. I hit the back button once. Everything auto saves in Google, any of their products. So I don't have to go look for the save button. And now you see I showed you that conference presentation I had to do earlier this week. That's now my first in my bank of slides that we looked at that family recipe showcase as a template. That's our second one. And then the one that we started off together with is now the third one that's in the slide deck. So let's search for a presentation in another way. So if we go back to the Google Apps menu and we look in the Drive, and this is NJALA's account. So you're going to see docs, which are the blue icon, sheets are usually in green, and here's that recipe showcase, and it's yellow. So they did a good job of color coordinating all of their products. So if you don't remember the name of the presentation, you can always search by looking for the colored icon in the thing, and forms are purple. We're going to talk about Drive in another presentation, so I'm not going to show you how to organize it and color code things further for today. But let's go look at some other presentations. So I just go one folder in, I see the yellow icon right away. So I know that's another presentation that was made in a slideshow. If I look at virtual presentations, because that's what we're doing today is a virtual presentation. Let's go back to last month. So we talked about Google Docs. So we had practice documents, the recordings of what we went over, review of what we did, but I can see that yellow icon and I know that that's that Google Docs presentation. I can click on it, launch it right from there through the Drive, and that brings me into another Google Sheets presentation. And you see what I mean again on the left-hand side. Shorter is sweeter. One of my professors once told me, you essentially are going to stay on a slide for no more than 2 minutes. So think of your presentation in time of minutes. And a lot of the times when you're in school, right, it's like 10 to 20 minutes is all you get. You can't have too many slides. If you got 20 minutes, that's no more than 10 slides. And you always have to have the intro slide and a contact you, thank you. So you really got to think about your audience and what they can absorb. And sometimes that's really hard. These kind of demos, it's hard because I know you're all coming to this looking for tips and tricks, but you all come with a different experience of how you've used a presentation or why you need to use one in the future. So that's why I show you a variety of things so that you can get just an idea of what to do. All right, let's close some of these tabs. This is that original one we started with. So now let's start making a new one together. So I'm going to go back to the Google Chrome, the Menus app, and click on Slides. And we're going to start with a blank slate. So I'm going to click on Blank Presentation. And it starts right away with like a title screen. So we're just going to call this Slides Demo. And subtitle, we'll put today's date. It's May the 4th. Put that in there. And I can hit space and I can write who we're doing this for. And then at least I know what my presentation is going to be about, what we're going to do. In the upper left-hand corner, it says Untitled Presentation because it's brand new. If I click on it one time, it automatically put in what I put as the title. So now it's named it for me. And that name will work perfect. If I didn't like it, I could click in it and I could say for NJALA, and then slightly different. If I know right away I want to attach a theme, I can start looking at the themes because they opened right on the right-hand side. If I close this, it'll go away, but you've got theme right at the top. So this is fun colors. Let's pick this. Look at that. So click to add title is what it said for the theme. It's called Pop. It's kind of a nice, bright, springy 90s color. We'll go with that. And that did a few things. It applied that background. It kept all the text I had added, but it did some formatting changes. So it changed my font and it made that bigger. And then it changed the color of the other text and made it a little smaller and just aligned it to be on the left-hand side instead of in the center. So how do you get a new slide? There's a few ways to do it. You can right-click on the left-hand side on the existing slide, and you can either do new slide or use the shortcut key Control plus the M, or you can do duplicate slide. So we're going to do both. So the first, let's duplicate it. So now I've got the same slide twice, and it's not very nice to switch between because it's the same thing twice. It's like it's twin. So let's go to the top one and let's do new slide. And the new slide looks the same layout. So it's got that same theme applied. We've just went down one. If you don't, and remember I said you could grab a slide and you can reposition it. So if you get out of order right away, that's okay. Just grab it and move it around, and it doesn't affect the theme at all. Or you can click the plus up in the very left of the menu bar, and that'll give you a new slide. Or you can click on the little arrow next to it, and that gives you a variety of different types of slides that all apply the same colors of this theme. And this comes in handy so you don't have to go and create and add a text box and invert colors and all that kind of jazz. So if we were going to do the presentation we're doing today and we're going to build it from scratch, I might want this slide, it's a little bit more basic, to be my second slide. So I can drag it up and go under the title slide, and then we can start editing it. So I click in the box and I'll say a demo of what Google Slides can do. And there's other, I know I want to add bullet points right away, we'll say how to access. And as soon as I add the bullet once and I hit enter, it keeps adding more bullets for me. Same way it does it in Docs and in Sheets, and Microsoft products do the same thing. And then we can say how to use templates, because that's what we've already covered. How to apply a theme. How to add a photo. And I'm using this for two reasons, right? I'm telling you, my audience, what we're going to cover in this demo, in this presentation. And it's also, remember, my to-do list of what I have to show as the presenter in this presentation. All right, so if I said I was good with that, and like I showed you before, you can grab this little bar at the bottom, just left click on it and start dragging up, and that'll make the slide smaller. And then I can start adding my speaker notes, which are my reminders to myself. So I can say, remember that everyone is at a different pace in Sheets and Slides and Docs. So go over the menu bar. And that's my reminder to myself of what to show you. So we put it in this presentation. We're building this one together. So let's just review what those things are quick. We already just went over how to add a slide. And then if you click on the little arrow that points down under that header, you can get different templates for slides that have the same applied theme. We went over the undo and redo, and you may all be familiar already with the Control Z, the Control C, Control V, those kind of shortcuts for copy, paste, undo, redo. There's print. Print is handy because it gives you different previews. The print, as the icon that looks like the printer, is just going to print out the slides in full. If you need a print preview that has speaker notes, you're going to find that in a different place. You're going to go to File, and you're going to go down to Print Preview. That's going to make your presentation just get a new layout across the top, because if you want to hide the backgrounds, so remove the template colors to save on ink, or you want to have it with notes. And we've added some notes on slide 2. So the slides always stay in the boxes. The notes, which are the speaker notes just for the presenter, those come underneath the slides. Every slide gets put on one page. Just keep in mind, the more that you speak on a slide and you type in those notes bars, that could carry on to many, many pages. This slide looks kind of dull. It's because we hit all the background colors. So if I add those back in and we go back to that slide, we've got the background colors, but we haven't edited anything to that slide yet. What else can we see? Slide outs with 9 slides per page. I'm sure many of you remember in school, or you've attended a seminar where they had handouts, and sometimes they give you the whole slide deck printed out. Sometimes they'll give you this condensed view, so you're just writing in the margins. Sometimes they'll give you one where it's a little bit bigger. Sometimes they give you one with notes that are on it. That's usually 3 slides per page, so you can make little notes about each one. And if you need to download it as a PDF, which some computers, some software will only present in a PDF view. Sometimes you want to do it as a PNG. If you need to do it that way, you can do print and you can download it and you can just save the file in another manner. Any questions about this handout slide or how to pick different formats for it?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right, we can always go back to it. All right, what else do we have here? You'll notice this paint format one is out. I don't have anything active in the presentation right now that would allow that icon to use. You have the zoom menu, so we can make it ginormous. If we got lots, we're going to put lots of clip art and we want to make sure that everything lined up on the ruler graph just right. I can't work in that kind of screen, so I'm going to put it back down to what its default was. You have this select escape, which is how you can click on an icon and then drag it around. I don't know why you'd put your title at the bottom, but you're going to design it however the presentation needs to speak to your audience. So to do that, your cursor, right? You got the select, which looks like the arrow is my cursor, same thing as this select up here. When I get on something that has text in it, like the text box, if I click on it, the box is much larger than the text that I put in there. So if I need to rearrange it, I can just go to the border edges and hover my mouse over it, use the left click, and I can start dragging it to be a different size. What happens then if I highlight the text and I make the text bigger? What's that going to do to my box? Everything stays restricted to the box size that I just set it to. So if I want the text to be that large, but I don't want everything to run over, then I need to go back and drag on that box and make it bigger again. The box, you'll notice, doesn't stay there. So if we do a slideshow, you'll see there's no big blue box here. And when I'm in presenter view like this, I can't click on it and edit anything. All I can do is click and go to more slides that are in the same deck. I can use my arrow keys on the keyboard, the left and right arrow keys, to get from one slide to the next. If I hover in the bottom left-hand corner, I start getting the slide deck numbered. So I can say I want to go to the next one, or I can go back one if I make a mistake. And this options menu, if I want to open my speaker notes, like I told you, I'm not a fan of open speaker notes just because I don't want to have to click on 2 menus all the time. I want to see what you guys are seeing on your end while I'm talking to you. So I just have I have a laptop open on the side with the same presentation, and I just use the arrow keys to go through. So when I'm presenting, and I'm going to hit exit or escape just so I can get out of presenter mode, but not leave my presentation. What I'm doing on the side that you can't see right now on my laptop is I'm just reading these speaker notes fields. So I'm looking at this same kind of slideshow that you're seeing. Um, and that's just my own personal preference because I don't like the way presenter view notes work. Because I've had to give a presentation where that failed before. So you learn from your mistakes. And for me, I was like, I just want the fail safe of knowing that I'm in the space where my slides live. I don't want to have to do it in this other environment. Does that make sense? All right. So now I made this box really big, right? And we know we're not in presenter view, so we can go in and edit again. But now I can't seem to click on this title slide and get it to move. So how am I going to do that? So what I did was I just clicked off of the big box a little bit and down. And I know that the field is much bigger than what the text shows. Or I could take this box and I can just move it up to be out of the way for a moment, click on the one I want to move, wait until it's got that little arrow that's all directions, move it to the bottom, click back in this box. I can move it to the top. I could also use, once I'm in it, I can use my arrow keys once it's highlighted like that. Notice my cursor's off to the side. I can use my arrow keys and I can start repositioning the text in that text box. But it's very easy to just grab and drag. And do you see these red bars that are showing up? It's going up and down the middle of the screen. That is telling me where the center of my slide is. So if I want my title to be near the top, I can certainly use those. I'm going to make this a little smaller to show I get that red bar again saying I've cut it to the middle of the screen now. And I can also move it around and notice it's turned like a little purple because I'm right in the middle on that right hand edge. And as soon as I go over it, the purple line kind of goes away. It's just the red line laying on top of the blue box. If I go, now I've got a red line to the left, and that left is kind of your margin of error. When people are making a slideshow, they don't often think about the margins like you do on a document, but those do exist, and you want to stay inside to the right of the red line when you're on the left, and of course to the left of the red line when you're on the right, because sometimes screens and projectors are not quite aligned right, and they will cut off your presentation. So you want to give yourself a little margin of error. It looks like it's like a centimeter around the edge. I could go, all the way to the top. Usually it's not the top and bottom that gets cut off with a projector. It's the right and left sides. But I think just for continuity, it looks nice to give yourself a little bit of a border around the whole edge of the slide. So let's go to the next slide. Let's say we don't need any of this. We just want that fun background. So I'm going to click on those boxes and hit delete, both of them, or I can right click and I can delete from there. And let's say we want to have a picture on this slide. So if I go to the top and I do insert, I can do insert image, which here's where I had it from my Google Photos, or I want to link to a website, take a picture of myself and put in there, or from my drive, or I just want to get, stock images from the web. So if I say I want a Google slide, what comes up? Well, thankfully I get their logo. So sure, we can put that in there. So I click on the one I want and let's look for some others. Not really anything that makes a ton of sense, but here's a picture. We'll call that a slide. So now I have two selected and I'm going to insert them in here. So I just got to wait a moment and they both entered at the same time. So now I have to rearrange them some. And notice how they stuck together. That's because I did two at a time. If I need to do them individually, I can do the undo until I get rid of them. Or I can just click on it and hit delete. And we're going to go back to insert image, search the web. my Google search I just did is still there. So I don't need to go through and do the same search again. I just need to find the image that I want, which I'm going to do the first one. And now I just have one selected and I hit insert and wait for it to load. But I can't have yellow on yellow, so I got to just drag that over and put it on the blue. And then if I want to say something about that, I can either mention it to say, I'm going to verbally say it and put it in the speaker notes, but I want to say it on the screen so that my audience knows what that thing is. So now I'm going to enter a text box. I'm going to drag it in there. Notice I made it really big, but it just went really small because it's just one line of text right now. So I'm going to say this is the slides logo. And it's super small. So I know I got to highlight my text. I got to either click in the font increase field and make it large, or I got to go in and I got to change the font. It's pulled this Playfair display because that is what is used as the template for this pop background theme that we applied at the beginning of this presentation. If I want to change it, they're saying the pop background theme uses this Oswald Playfair display or Montserrat theme. So I can either pick a different format of what's in the theme template, or I can go to something that maybe I'm more comfortable using, like sans serif is what's in a lot of Gmail text, uses a lot of sans serif. And that just applied it to this one block of text that I have highlighted, not anything else in the presentation. But I think consistency looks nice in a presentation. So if I like sans serif better, then I need to go back up to this other text and say, oh, yep, this looks a little messy, or I can't quite see the little horizontal line in these capital H's. So I highlight that text and I change it to what I'm more comfortable reading myself, what I know is going to be easier for my audience to read. All right, any questions yet?
Nope, not right now.
Wonderful. All right, let's get into something that you've probably seen in a lot of presentations, which is a video. So I am still using the template from that slide deck that we applied, and I took out the text that said slides demo. So now I want to add a video. So I'm going to go insert, and video shows up, and it's going to automatically think that I want to go to YouTube, which is fine. But I have some videos in my Google Drive. So I'm just going to collect them from there and input one from there. So we've got some past virtual sessions. Just going to pull up one we did last month and just have to wait for it to load. And if this takes too long, I'll show you a different way and we'll just go find a YouTube clip. Let me get a drink here. All right, it's a big video file, so we'll do it a different way. We'll do it with a YouTube clip. So what I'm going to do first is just open another tab, and I'm going to go to YouTube. And this defaults to the New Jersey Association of Library Assistants page. So let's do one from March. So right away it starts playing. So you heard me introducing the speaker for that day. You see live captions pull up automatically. So let's say I want to use this video. So I have to I have to find the portion of the video that I want to share. So if I say I want it to start with early readers and I click on share, I see a few options. If I want to share the entirety of the video, all I have to do is hit copy. That's going to copy the link. If I know, because I'm going to give a presentation and I only need this 20-second little audio clip, I can cue it up in the video, and then click this box to say start at 3:33 and then hit copy. And then you get that little pop-up in the bottom left in the black box. It said link copied to clipboard. Now I go back to my presentation, and here's where I do insert video. And now I'm going to say I want to do it from YouTube. And in that search bar, I can hit Control V to copy in that video starting at that 3-minute 33-second mark. So I'm going to hit enter, and that pulled it from YouTube. And that's the right video. So I'm going to double click on it. And so that just automatically put it into my presentation. So, and then look at the right, they're giving me all sorts of tips right away. So they've got playback mode. So I can go through the presentation, and when I get to this slide, if I want it to start playing right away, I can do that. If I want it to click to play automatically, set it to automatically. If I want it to play when I'm ready to stop talking, then I want to do it manually. What happens right now when I click the video? Let's see. So that was the beginning of the video. That didn't start at 3 minutes, 33 seconds, but I can re-edit that right here and say I want it to be at 3:33. Click on the video, use a different time. Sorry about that. So if I wanted to play manually, I can do any of those options. I will give you warning, if you do automatically, make sure you've rehearsed your presentation many times so that you're done speaking before you get to that slide that'll automatically start playing. It's okay if you make a mistake, right? Like that's how we learn things. But it's best to just rehearse so you can minimize those times. If all you want to do is show the video and not have any audio, so you don't have to worry about a video interrupting you while you're talking, you can mute the audio. You can do size and rotate. So if we need to make it bigger or smaller, we can do that here. We can, change the aspect ratio or reposition it. We can also click on the thing and make it bigger or smaller on our own too. But just use the pop-up things that happen on the right-hand side of your slide are here to help you. So use them. They're to your advantage. Let's see what this drop shadow is about. It's giving me a little edge to my video. If I want to make it lighter or darker, I can do that in here. Let's move the thing around and see what the tool does for us. Make it a little wider. A lot of people have widescreen monitors. Make it a little taller so it stays in scale. You'll notice as I'm hitting up or down in width and height, it's also readjusting my scale for me automatically. But if I need to reposition it, I just keep moving these around until I get it to the right place. So it's a nice trick. If I don't like having a shadow, I can click the box and get rid of the shadow, or I can keep messing with the shadow. I can also click, in the background things and take those away. We don't need to have that box there. We'll delete it. We don't need to have this box here. We can delete it. Okay, any questions about inserting a video?
Nope.
Great. All right. So let's talk about some just basic things that are true in any presentation you do. You never want to have graphics that are too busy for the screen. So what I mean by that, and let me just clear these. So let's say we're going to add more images and I want it to be summer, right? So we want beaches. And every beach we see is beautiful. So we click on all of them, right? We get every single beach we can find. And we start inserting them. And remember, they're going to lay on top of each other. They're going to take up a lot of space. They're not going to look right. But my point is, you don't want to have too many graphics on one page at a time because that's too busy. And then your audience is immediately going to start thinking, of a memory, or they're going to try to recognize that location, and they're going to stop listening to you. What can be very effective, though, are things like comic strips. So I'm just going to go away from YouTube and let's look for comic strip about slideshows. And I know, copyright aside, again, this is just for demo to give you some ideas. So let's just look at images. Let's just click. If we right click on it, we can copy the image. We can go to our slideshow. We can paste it in there. We can resize it. Then we don't have to go through the insert image, search from the web thing. But a comic strip, a funny joke that's subtle, can do a lot more to re-engage your audience than throwing a million pictures at them all at once. Unless you're going to be doing a presentation about how beautiful like collages are, which you might do in a PowerPoint or you might do on a poster board, however you're comfortable giving a presentation. Let's talk about text, right? There's nothing worse than having, let's see, a PowerPoint with too much text. Things like block quotes, like, I'm not making fun of the US wireless market from 2010, but that is a lot to read on a document in a slideshow. This clearly is copy and pasted from a document, or maybe it's like a policy and procedure, but you can highlight just the one thing. Or if you want to show that it's from a policy, maybe they could have just highlighted like quarter in 3 years has been slowly and steadily turning the ship around. They could have just highlighted that text or made that blown up and bigger. That would have been a more effective use of showing this kind of a graphic in a slideshow than having us read all this text. Because I'm sure that even though what I'm showing you on the screen right now has nothing to do with what we're talking about, somebody started reading this, because in our brains, once we learn how to read, we just automatically start reading everything we can. So what do we want it to be? I didn't write a lot on this slide, but I did that on purpose. Usually your title, you don't want it to have more than 6 words in the title line. And same is true with your bullet points. They need to be short and sweet. How annoying is it when somebody reads everything that's written on the slide to you? You don't want to insult your audience. You want to let them have a chance to learn with you and from you. So if you have to, and this is just, my tip to you, if you want to write full sentences in this box as you're getting your presentation ready, just copy and paste all of it and put it down in the speaker notes. And then think to yourself, how can I take away some of the wordiness of this? So we could change it and we could say, we're going to do how to, and then we can take away all those other times it says how to and say how to access, how to use templates, apply a theme. And that cleans up the slide, and it still tells your audience what they're in for, but you haven't been reading it to them along with them. If we were doing a story time together, it'd be a totally different set of rules. But when it's informational or you're presenting an accomplishment, short and sweet, people as attention span, right, with our phones and everything, they're getting shorter and shorter. So don't make them work too hard to have to read your screen. Because you want them to be listening to you, engaging with you. All right, I know we're getting close to 11 o'clock, so I don't want to start showing you anything else in case there's any questions. But more so, does anyone have anything they wanted me to demo that I haven't shown yet?
Nothing at the moment.
Okay. And I'm going to go back to this slideshow, our original one we started with. and say thank you for taking the time to learn and talk about Google Slides with me today. I will send anyone who registered for this event the main PowerPoint and the demo one so that you can practice, and I'll put some little triggers to say, can you try to add a picture here? So you can do some practice. You can always reach out to me with questions and let you know these are going to be the upcoming things that are Google related that I'm going to present about virtually